it was supposed to be an NFC Championship preview. I thought on the very first play last night, your Eagles would just go tush push, but they didn't. But for me, I'll let you go on the Eagles side of the equation in a minute because I know you're more of an Eagles fan. But for me, this game said more about the Green Bay Packers and specifically their head coach, Matt LaFleur. I think he should be on the hot seat after this game. Because think about this. His defense held the Cleveland Browns to 13 points, and they lost. His defense held Carolina relatively in check. I forget what the final score of that game was. So you'll have to forgive me. And then this week, the Packers defense holds Philadelphia, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, that high-powered offense to 10 points. And yet you still lose. Your general manager, Brian Gutekunst, pushes all his chips into the middle and says, I'm trading for Micah Parsons. And your offense comes out flat as a freaking pancake.
Who, for the record, last night, Micah Parsons led the Packers with 7 pressures. The rest of the entire team had 1 combined.
The week prior, the Packers defense held the Panthers to 16 points, and they still lost. So let me go over that one more time, and then I'll let you go, Brandon. In week 3, the Packers held the Cleveland Browns to 13 points, but lost. Last week, they held the Carolina Panthers to 16 points and lost. Last night, they hold the reigning defending Super Bowl champions to 10 points and lost. The floor is yours, Brandon.
So, I have rarely criticized Nick Sirianni, even when we were going through the supernatural funk 2 years ago. I defended Sirianni. I said he should not be fired. And they turn around last year. They win the Super Bowl. We know the whole 9 yards. I'm not going to put last night's game directly on Sirianni. I thought it was a weird game. I thought it was going to be a defensive game. I didn't expect 10-7. I thought it was going to be like 17-14. I thought it was going to be very similar to the NFC wildcard game a year ago. What I do want to talk about, and what I will put on the head of Nick Sirianni, is this. Josh, I have no earthly idea in the world of God's green name why on 4th and 6 from about the Green Bay 41-ish yard line, my Philadelphia Eagles decided to go for it, throw a ball up to A.J. Brown. That ball lands incomplete, and you give the Green Bay Packers the ball back with a chance to get in field goal range when your defense had been playing out of its world. Jalen Phillips, the new addition for the Miami Dolphins, who we talked about last week on the show, he made an instant impact with his Eagles defense. The Eagles defensive line looked like the defensive line from a year ago. Jalen Hurts did not play his best, though he made a few key throws when he had to, including the touchdown to Devontae Smith. I did feel like the fumble in the first quarter by Jalen Hurts and a great peanut punch by the Green Bay defense took all momentum out of the Eagles offense until the second half. And despite that, all anybody wants to talk about today is how that game was in hand and Nick Sirianni single-handedly almost blew it.
Well, you're lucky that the Packers kicker is Brandon McManus and he completely screwed up the potential game
I,
time.
I thought that last kick was partially blocked. That's my opinion. I don't think you can miss a kick that bad because it had no chance. It looked like the way it was spinning. It looked like somebody in the Eagle special teams unit may have got a hand on it. Nonetheless, the whole end of the game situation was weird because they brought out for a 64-yard field goal. He got a practice kick way after the timeout was called. Then Green Bay brought back out the offense. They throw a quick out route for no yards, and then they bring him back out.
Yeah.
The whole sequence was weird. The whole game was weird. I will say, for a 10-7 game, I don't get the argument that it was a very boring game. I thought it was actually a pretty entertaining game for a 10-7 game. There was a lot of action in between the 50s. Just nobody, once they got past the 50, could put the ball in the end zone.
Oh, I agree. It was definitely a entertaining game.
I mean, it was a lot. Let me put it to you this way. That 10-7 game was a lot more entertaining than the 10-7 game we got on Thursday Night Football.
Yes. That 10-7 game was way more entertaining than the 13-3 game we got between the Patriots and Rams in Super Bowl 53. I can tell you that.
So, I mean, listen, the Eagles have been obviously a weird team this year. They're coming out their bye, but they still have control of their own destiny for the number 1 seed. And it'll be very interesting. We'll get to the game later in the show with the Lions. Dan Campbell's taking over play calling now. I don't know what that says about the Lions going forward. We'll talk about it. But the NFL is hard. As the Chiefs last year, how many one-possession games they won at the buzzer, and they just kept on winning. So I think as long as this Eagles team keeps on winning, that's going to be the motto of this team, is do it any means necessary. And they're in prime position in the NFC East because since they last played in Week 8, no team in the NFC East has won a game. Whereas for the Packers, they're in danger of being, at best, third place in the division.
Yeah. To finish off your point on the Eagles super quick, the last time we had a repeat division champion in the NFC East was, I think, 2004 when your Eagles
It was the 2004 Eagles who won it in 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004. All of those teams went to the NFC Championship game, and 3 of those teams did not make the Super Bowl.
So, and ever since then, we haven't had a repeat NFC East champion, but given the state of the division, I think your Eagles are going to break that streak. But again, not to diminish the Eagles, but I think the Packers side of this is far more interesting.
Well, here's a question I have for you, though. How much are we going to put on LaFleur? How much do you think it's on Jordan Love, who I thought could have been an MVP candidate coming into the year, and he has not played like it? And the other thing is, how much are we going to put on? Is this just because Tucker Kraft is now out for the year? Matthew Golden did not play last night. Romeo Doubs leaves the game early in the fourth quarter with a chest injury. Is it that? Is it injuries? Is it scheme? I don't know what it is.
So, if you remember, and I'm going to keep bringing this up, we both had the Packers reaching the Super Bowl. I have them beating the Baltimore Ravens. You have them losing to the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to keep harping on that. And we both had the Packers. I think you had the Packers finishing as the 2 seed. I had them as the 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Okay. And yet here they are sitting in third place in the NFC North, not just behind the Detroit Lions, but also behind the Chicago Bears. Which that really says something to me. But yeah, it seems like Matt LaFleur doesn't want to give Jordan Love the chance to be a risk-taking quarterback. It's kind of interesting when you look at the philosophies of these 2 head coaches in terms of their quarterbacks, where it's almost like Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo for Philadelphia don't want Jalen Hurts to be a risk taker And yet I would say that's the type of quarterback he is.
I disagree with you. Because if you look at the numbers, Jalen Hurts throws 25 times or less and doesn't turn the football over, the Eagles are almost undefeated.
Okay. No, I not. That's fair. And then with the Packers, I almost want to say the same thing.
I think it's the opposite. I think that Jordan Love wants to be a risk taker.
Yes, that's how I meant. That's how I meant to say it.
And LaFleur is not wanting him to be a risk taker. Where I think Jalen's personality is actually, I'm going to do what's best for the team. I'll throw for 300 yards or I'll throw for 50. I don't care.
I thank you for saying that. That's how I meant to say it, where Jordan Love wants to be the risk taker. Jalen Hurts, he can be, but he doesn't necessarily want to. I appreciate you saying that because I just said it wrong originally.
No, I completely agree.